from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we hope that everybody had a fun and safe Happy New Year's. But we've made it to the year 2025. So for our first deep dive of the year 2025, it is Disney feature-length film number 56 from December 14th, 1961. It is called Babes in Toyland. Babes in Toyland is a live action film. Mm-hmm. But before I talk too much about it or about who's in it, would you like to start us off with a synopsis?
Sure. Mary Contrary is set to marry Tom Piper when he is kidnapped by Rodrigo and Gonzorgo, two goons working for the evil Barnaby, who wants to marry Mary for her inheritance.
It's true. This
Mary,
quite contrary. This is a very fun film. It's very poetic. It's very nursery rhymey.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we'll go over where it all takes place. But there's a very all-star cast in this film. A lot of all-star cast in movies and in films that we've watched so far. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, Barnaby, like we talked about earlier, the main character, the bad guy, is played by Ray Bolger, who was famously the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. We also have the return of Annette Funicello, who was in The Shaggy Dog and The Mickey Mouse Club. And actually, Annette Funicello says that this was her favorite filming experience that she's ever done. We also have Ed Wynn again, who, of course, was in The Absent-Minded Professor, and he was the voice of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, and he's in Mary Poppins coming up. We have our dear friends Tommy Kirk and Kevin Corcoran, who has been in every single movie that we've done so far, pretty much, it feels like. At
least lately.
Yeah, they've been in a bunch. Also, this is based on an opera by the same name by Victor Herbert, as well as there was a 1934 film of the same name starring the legendary duo Laurel and Hardy. Mm-hmm. This music and lyrics have been rewritten from this one, from the original. Mm-hmm. And the toy soldiers from this film, they still appear in the Disney parks worldwide, like for their holiday shows and everything. Mm-hmm. Do you have any other facts before we dive into this Babes in Toyland?
I have some trivia that I can go over after.
Okay.
If you want to go over it after.
Go ahead. I'll go for it.
Oh, I said after.
Oh, okay, after. That's fine.
I can go ahead and do it now, whatever.
No, we'll wait till later if you want me to. It's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, whatever keeps the flow. All right, so you ready to dive in?
Sure.
All right, so we start off with the credits. There's some colorful, like, opening book credits. Mm-hmm. It starts off with the puppet show, and we meet Sylvester J. Goose, but his friends call him Silly. He's a silly goose. He presents us Mother Goose, who is a real-life lady, inviting you to the celebration of the wedding of Tom and Mary. Mm-hmm. Tom the Piper and Mary the Quite Contrary. Mm-hmm. It then cuts to a full-blown musical in Mother Goose Square. There's some beautiful colored sets. There's some great songs and choreography of different Mother Goose stories. I think that you might have written down one of the ones that were.
Yeah, so at first the whole thing opens up with a storybook opening like we discussed in some of our other ones, but then it kind of switches over to like you're walking into a theater to go watch a play. Yeah. So it looks like you're like watching a live theater play. And then, like you said, the goose introduces Mother Goose. And then the curtains open up like the show's starting.
Yeah.
and you see some characters walking in, and one of the first ones of the famous that we see is Bo Peep and her colored sheep.
Yep, her sheep.
I think they just called them sheep, but I wrote down they were colored sheep because I felt like I was in the Wizard of Oz watching the horses because they were very bright colored.
Yep.
Then you have Jack and Jill who fell down the hill. They come in, and then Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, and Jack jumped over the candlestick.
The candlestick getting taller and taller.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah. And then Simple Simon, the Pie Man. And then it switched over from our famous people to lemonade dancers who were what do you call it? The Rockettes? I guess they kind of remind me of the Rockettes. And they were talking about lemonade and basically this marriage that was about to happen between Mary Contrary and Tom Piper. I felt like and at that point you see Mary come out. And then I felt like Mary's costume in the beginning when you first see her kind of was some foreshadowing of Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because her outfit very much reminded me of Belle. And she's about to marry Tom Piper.
That's right. So right away, it's a very fun scene. I can see right away why this is Annette Funicello's favorite film to make. We see Tom and Mary dancing. Annette is Mary. And then it cuts to a Disney storm, and there's like a dilapidated house like outside of the kingdom.
Yes, I had it as a villain house, which gave me very old school haunted house vibes.
Yep. And that's we see a creepy mustache man named Barnaby, who is Ray from The Wizard of Oz, who's watching Mary and saying that he's going to marry her for her money, marry her for her inheritance, like you said.
And this was one of his first films where he took on the role of a villain.
Yes.
So it kind of like switched everything he's ever done before.
Yes, he's so good in this. We meet his henchmen. One of the henchmen is plays Ben from Toby Tyler, and then the other one is the silent guy from Zorro, who was also a silent character in this film. And they discuss their plan. Item 1, kidnap Tom. Item 2, throw him in the sea. And item 3, steal the sheep. They plan their actions and how they're going to collect the fee in a very musical way.
Yes. However, the guys that he was hiring didn't want to do the job for such little pay because he was offering them very little. But then they changed their mind when he did some sort of trick to satisfy their greed.
Correct.
And it was a whole song.
Oh, lots of songs in this. Lots of fun musicals in this. So we go back to Mary Goose Village, where we see that the two clumsy bandits are sneaking their way in. They're going to hit him on the head with a mallet, and they're going to put him in a sack. They get ready as Tom and Mary musically walk by, as the children watch to see if they're going to kiss. The henchmen, who I will be referring to them as for the rest of this, the henchmen, they very comically and
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
It's true. The henchmen, they very comically and they use this preposterously large size mallet to bang Tom on the head, and they bag him, and then they go on their way in a very musical way, and they're going to throw him in the sea. But on their way, they see a camp of travelers who they decide that they're going to try to sell Tom to double their money, because they hear that these travelers like buy people, basically. So they're
such a weird thing.
Yep. So
I am a traveler and I buy people.
Yep. So they are going to sell Tom to the travelers so they can double their money. They can get money from Barnaby, and they can get money from the travelers. So then the next day we see that Mary is back in Mother Goose Land. She's showing Mother Goose and Sylvester her dress. She's excited. She's nervous. But then we see Barnaby show up, who he interrupts them. And he's just like there just to be like, I'm just here to hang out, blah, 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 blah. But then conveniently the henchmen show up to Mother Goose Land and to Mary's cottage, but they're dressed as shipwrecked sailors. And then they very poetically tell Mary and Mother Goose and Barnaby about how Tom has sadly sank in the sea. They're liars, poetic liars. Mary is concerned, and upset because it's, it is her wedding day. They show her proof of a very poetic letter about how he is too sad to have he was too sad to have support her, and that she should marry Barnaby instead. And then Barnaby consoles an upset Mary. It's all very poetic and musical.
He starts to dance.
Yep.
And I think that is the point where I wanted to ask you, do you think that his dancing skills inspired Ryan Gosling for La La Land?
I love that movie, so I'll take it.
I know, but that's what I kind of felt like I was watching. In his shoes, he had such interesting shoes. They were black shoes, but they had definitely had like a heel on
Yeah, they
them.
had a
They
big
were like
heel
a
on them.
thick heel.
Yeah.
I guess because it was kind of like tap dancing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she tells him no. She says he.
She won't marry just for money and riches.
She will not marry for wealth alone. This is after his big song and dance, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
She says no, thank you. She does it. No, she's going to make her own money. She's going to have this money from the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at this point that Bo Peep comes running in to say that her sheep are lost, and she sings a song about how they're gone for good,
mm-hmm.
and they've lost their livelihood. Because remember, step 3 was steal the sheep. The other townspeople, they musically promise Bo Peep that they will help her find her sheep. And then they say that that they've seen the tracks, and the tracks lead to the forest of no return,
mm-hmm.
making the townspeople immediately give up all hope because it's the forest of no return.
And none of them are heroes, so it's not like they're going to go into there.
Exactly. So then Mary sings a whole song about the price of milk and bread is rising every day, which is funny if she only knew. She sings about bills, bills, bills. And then we see
sounds like life.
We see various colors and versions of Mary come out to sing with her about her financial woes. It's kind of like the Heffalumps and Woozles, where they're just like the different colors of the same thing. She sings about she sings the whole song about math and about how financial woes, and she says 6 times X, how complex. The outcome of their income is that the income is all gone out.
Mm-hmm.
So then she decides that she has no other choice. She goes to Barnaby's house to tell her that she will marry him, because again, she has no other choice. But then the kids of the house decide that they're going to find the sheep to save her. They have to. But at the same time, the henchmen come back and they call a nighttime meeting of the town. And then they have Barnaby tell the whole town that him and a very upset Mary are going to be married.
Mm-hmm.
But then he says, much to the shock of the henchmen, that for this wedding party celebration, that he has hired a band of travelers to perform at their wedding. And then they come dancing and they come flipping into the town in a very awesome, planned routine of them performing, because they're performers. They put on one heck of a dance routine.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we don't like to jump forward, but like in Hercules, when they realize Hercules is alive and Panic start to yee, panic.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the henchmen are on this one. Mm-hmm. So then we see that one of the traveling troupe is dressed up as an elderly palm reader,
mm-hmm.
Singing about how she can do predictions, and she sings, surprisingly, about Tom.
Mm-hmm.
The palm reader then, after the whole performance, takes off her garb, revealing themselves to be Tom. And the henchmen run away, knowing that they've messed up. But Barnaby catches them. And then we cut to the forest of no return. And we know this because there's plenty of signs warning about it.
Yes.
The children are trying to find the sheep. But at the same time, Mary and Tom, they reunite and they realize that the children are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they also go to the forest of no return to try to save them.
Yeah, because they found a letter from the children
mm-hmm.
that said that they were going to the forest of no return.
Barnaby threatens the henchmen, and he says that they better execute on getting rid of Tom once and for good, and no more double crossing. Barnaby says that he can respect their double crossing, but Like,
Yeah, because they
no more fun and
obviously made a
games.
profit off of that.
Yeah.
It's all about money because they got bills.
So then we cut to the forest of no return, and we see that the trees are coming to life, and they're singing about how they could never let them go because this is the forest of no return.
Yeah, because they fell asleep after that, and then they awake to the talking trees, and it was the scariest thing I had ever seen. What would you do?
Disney loves scary forest scenes.
Yeah, but what would you do if you fell asleep in the forest and woke up?
Why am I sleeping in a forest?
And the trees were talking to you.
I would assume I'm dreaming. Go back to sleep.
You would assume you're dreaming, so you would go back to sleep. Okay.
So then Mary and Tom, they find the children, but they don't find the sheep, and they explain. So the children explain that they can't leave because they've been captured by the trees, even though the trees are just normal right now. But then we also see Barnaby and the henchmen. They're watching from the forest. They're also in the forest. They all decided that they're going to rest for the night in the forest. But then as Barnaby and his men are sneaking up, the trees wake up again, surrounding the children.
Even more creepy singing from the trees.
That's right. The trees say, they're out of bounds. These are restricted grounds. And they said that the toy maker will decide what is done with them because they are on Toyland property.
Yep.
So this is the first that we hear of the toy maker.
Toyland.
They demand that they come with them to the toy maker.
You have to admit,
and
though,
they're excited about meeting the toy maker.
Yeah, you have to admit, like, if you were in this case and the trees told you, well, we have to take you to Toyland and find out what is going to happen with you, you have to admit that would be pretty exciting as a child.
Yeah, they were excited. So then they all march together.
Toyland territory.
They sing like the Toyland famous song. And then we see the toy maker's house. I wrote that it's very like Willy Wonka meets Hansel and Gretel, like this house. And the kids and Mary and Tom are all excited. They run inside, but there's a sign that says "Closed for alterations." Toyland has been deserted.
Yep.
But then we see Edwin, who I mentioned earlier. He's who plays the toy maker.
Edwin.
He's
I know, but it sounds like Edwin.
Oh, sorry.
Edwin.
So
that's what I thought you were talking about when you first mentioned it.
So he's the actor that plays the toy maker.
Yeah.
And he sounds just like the Mad Hatter because that's what he is. And he's showing off this new toy that he built, and he built a broken toy because it'll save boys time because the toy will already be broken.
Because they just want to take the toys apart anyway.
Yeah. But then we see his assistant Grumio, who's played by our friend Tommy Kirk, who's showing off his new invention that can create toys.
Any toy.
Like it's like a whole like big machine that probably costs a ton of money that can create any toy. It makes a real doll. It makes a real boat.
That's his invention.
The toy maker is so excited about this. So excited that he decides that he's going to take over Grumio's invention.
Because he is the head toy maker.
Yeah, he's in charge. And he turns it up too high and too fast, which overwhelms it, causing it to blow up.
Yeah, he overloaded the machine.
I wrote that because he's from Alice in Wonderland, that he must have used mustard, kind of like the Mad Watch scene. Okay. So the machine destroys, it blows up, and you can tell the machine's broken because it's like shooting the word help into the air. Like it's like help. In the air, and it blows up the whole entire toy factory. The toy maker blames Grumio for everything, which is rude. And they talked about how they will not make their Christmas deadline. The children then talk
the whole time, though. Grumio is trying to tell him, "Wait, don't do that. Yeah. Wait, no, this is a bad idea." Like he's just like in the background, like, "Hey, wait,
please don't."
And I'm like, so thankful I did not watch this as a child because this whole scene would have gave me so much anxiety.
Tommy Kirk can be like, I've been in every Disney movie ever the last 10 years. I
Let me
know
tell
what's going
you.
to happen here.
Let me tell you how this is gonna go.
So they realize that they're not going to make their Christmas deadline. So then, like, the children talk to the toy maker,
Mhm.
and they learn that he's also the mayor of Toyland and the chief of police. And we find out that it's half past October, and that the deadline for Christmas is coming up. But the children and Mary and Tom decide that they're going to help.
Mhm.
They're going to help
Make
fix
the
this.
deadline.
They are going to work together,
Mhm.
and they're going to make toys together. They're going to hurry until we're done.
Mhm.
So they make an assembly line and they start to build these toys.
Mhm.
At the same time as this, while they're working together, Barnaby and the henchmen, they sneak into the toy factory, and they sneak into the toy factory and they're like watching Mary and Tom sing with the toys. They send the children to sleep because it's been a long day.
Mhm.
But at the same time as this, Grumio comes running out of his room, and he's all excited about his new invention. He wakes up the toy maker to show him his scientific breakthrough. He's invented a gun
Mhm.
that when you shoot something, it makes it down to toy size.
Mhm.
So picture this full size TV that you're watching us on right now, and when you shoot it, it becomes a toy television.
Mhm.
Yep. So the toy maker is so excited about the possibilities, and he starts shooting all of the household things. He's all making them toy size. The bed, the everything. He's just shooting everything to make them toy size. But it's at this point that they point out that there isn't enough big things to turn into small toy things.
Mhm.
So then the toy maker sends Grumio back to his room, and he's like, "This is not going to work." So he throws the gun out the window.
Mhm.
Which then is grabbed and stolen by a watching Barnaby. And then,
Because why wouldn't he be there watching outside
yep.
the window?
So then the toy maker, he tries to crawl into his shrunken little bed.
He puts his foot on the bed.
Yeah, because it's a tiny little
It's
bed.
it's the entire size of the bed for his foot.
Yeah. But then Barnaby shoots and shrinks the toy maker. So the toy maker is now the first person to be shrunken down.
But Barnaby's two goons watch this happen and they're like, "Did you see what he just did? He just reduced a man."
Yep.
So at that point, they start questioning their loyalty to this guy.
Yep. They no longer want to be a part of his diabolical plan.
Mhm.
So what does he do? He shrinks them down.
Mhm. And puts everybody in bird cages.
He does.
Why not?
Barnaby, I mean, it worked in Pinocchio.
Yeah.
So Barnaby goes into Mary's room and says that he has come for her. And then we see that he has also shrunken down Tom. He tells her that he is going to marry her, and if she will not marry him, he will shoot Tom again, making him vanish forever. So if you shrink something twice, it vanishes forever. And then the next scene.
But does it really?
I mean, that's what they told us.
It probably doesn't vanish forever. It's probably like microscopic and you can't see it.
I mean, who are you to go against this logic here?
Gromeo. I think he would agree with me.
So then in the next scene, we see a tiny shrunken toy maker who's preparing to do the wedding ceremony. He's preparing to marry Mary and Barnaby, while the other shrunken people are forced to witness. But then the shrunken henchmen, they free the shrunken Tom from the ties, and they use like a rope to plan like his escape. The little toy maker sees all this, and he stalls the marriage ceremony, which allows Tom to escape. And he like blows this toy trumpet, and all the boxes of toy soldiers like come to life. And there's like marching toy soldiers and trumpeting toy soldiers, and they release this whole fleet of military toys. You want to talk about this scene, like this whole fleet of like toy soldiers and military toys and everything?
Yeah, so Tom goes in there and he just, like you said, gets the whole fleet, and there's all sorts of different toy soldiers. So you have some that are marching with bayonets and guns. Then you have the toy soldiers that have the cannons, and then he releases one that looks like it's in a blimp. Um,
Yep.
and then I think helicopters too. I don't know. Anyway, like all sorts of just toy soldiers, some that are on horses. Um, and they're going to attack Barnaby and stop his evil plan
Yep.
as the size of toy soldiers. And I just have to say, I did not know what that came from
What came from?
in the Disney parks. I always wondered what these toy soldiers are.
Well, now you know.
Like around the holidays, I never knew what that was. Anyway,
So, and how many years from now, when we do our Disney park references for the
how many
1960s,
how many years from now?
when we do the 1960s, I told you there's more movies in the 1960s than we've watched so far from the 1930s to now.
I know,
but
but
whatever.
anyway.
So the cavalry of the toys, they charge Barnaby and Mary's wedding.
Mhm.
The girl toys even like waving good luck.
And Link, the
yep.
creepy little doll's like,
yeah. There are so many military toys. Think about how many pirates there was in the Swiss Family Robinson movie. Like there's
soldiers.
so many toy soldiers.
But not the little green army man, the toy soldiers.
So then the toy maker is like, if anybody like speak now or forever hold your peace type deal. Mm-hmm. That's when all the toy soldiers attack with their toy cannons and their toy weapons. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Barnaby very easily is able to fend off all these toys. His enemy fire with toy bullets.
And he's super big
compared to like them. He's real size. So and
he's laughing the whole time they're doing this. I thought, buddy, I don't know why you keep trying to attack him, because obviously what you're doing is not working.
But in the meanwhile, the henchmen, they also escape, so they start aiding in the attack of Barnaby. Mm-hmm. There's more infantry, but it's just more retaliation from Barnaby. Like, he has no problem with this. Yeah. Barnaby shoots a toy cannon, knocking over Tom off of his toy horse, but Tom,
which is actually doing way more to them than it was to Barnaby.
Absolutely. But he is able to use marbles to make Barnaby fall over. Mm-hmm. Barnaby goes to shoot Tom with the shrinking gun, getting rid of him forever. Mm-hmm. But then Mary uses a toy cannon, destroying the shrinking gun, making the gun like explode, which makes all the liquid from inside of it get on to Barnaby, which then shrinks Barnaby down to the size of a toy. So then Barnaby and Tom get into this toy sword fight. It's a way better sword fight than the movie Treasure Island. And they knock Barnaby into a box. Yeah. And then at the same exact time, another very excited Grumio comes running out of his room. Yeah. Because he's excited because he's invented the restorative formula. Mm-hmm. And he shoots the toy maker and the henchman, bringing them back to the correct size. Mm-hmm. Grumio was a genius once again. Yep. If only he was a genius back in the Shaggy Dog. But that's okay. That's a whole different movie. So he's a genius once again. But like always, the toy maker insists that he has to be the one to use this because he's in charge. So mm-hmm. he then shoots and reclaims Tom back to his real size. Mm-hmm. But at the exact same time, all the children wake up from all this commotion and they run out. But all they see is the children playing with all the toys because they don't know what just happened. Yeah. And then we cut to the next scene where Tom and Mary are having a musical wedding in Mother Goose Land.
Good winds. They get married.
She throws her bouquet and Bo Peep catches it, and they leave on a horse and carriage.
Who do you think Bo Peep's going to marry?
Woody.
Spoiler alert!
Many years from now. So she throws her bouquet and Bo Peep catches it, and then they leave on horse and carriage in the snowfall as in the village. People serenade them, and then their carriage flies away because they've clearly found Flubber. And that is the end of the film. So yes. Before I say my take on this, I would love to hear your thoughts and your ratings. And even before any of that.
Okay. What happened to Barnaby? Did they leave him in the box? Like, nothing else is ever said about Barnaby. And I want to know what happened to him.
Maybe they'll do a sequel.
And I also felt that Barnaby looked quite entertaining. He reminded me of like if you were thinking like old school vampire, like that's kind of the vibe he gave me, was like old school vampire. And he had like the most interesting, like slick back hair,
Yeah.
but like curl designs that were like on his face. I don't know. Anyway, but with his cape and stuff and his long, lanky features, he definitely reminded me of like an old school vampire.
Yeah.
Um,
So, do you have any facts for us before we do our final thoughts and ratings and stuff?
yes. So this was Disney's first live action musical.
Not their last.
No, not their last. It was inspired, like you said, by the operetta. Um, it was loosely based on it. So
Yep.
I guess it would be interesting to watch that one to kind of see how it was different. Um, and Disney added original material to it to make it more family friendly. Um, there was, like you said, crossover from Disney stars. So you had Annette and Tommy Sands. It then you also Tommy Kirk.
And
Lots of
Moochie.
Tommies, lots of Tommies. Yeah, so you see Kevin Corcoran, which played Moochie back in the day, in one of our
He's in
films.
everything, every
And
single movie we watched.
so far, this is our first film where his actual brother, I forgot what his name was. Anyway, another Corcoran sibling actually played in it, which I thought was funny because he's the boy that's in red. And their names were Blue Boy and I forgot what the red one was. But anyway, they are actual real life siblings.
Yeah.
And I think I looked over at you once and I was like, is that his brother, you think? Because they look a lot alike. And I had read up before on another film that we were reviewing about how he had several other siblings that had also like went on to become actors. I don't think they were as well known as him, but they had also went on to be actors. And yes, it was definitely his sibling.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot his name. I am so sorry. Anyway, so they did wardrobe reuse. So many of the costumes and props were reused in other productions. Some of the outfits made their way into Mary Poppins, which we will get to. It came out in 1964, so we're not quite there yet. And it also had some pop ups in Disney park shows. So some of the outfits were reused. Like you said, Ray Bollinger was in this. It was a villainous turn for him, and it was a very big departure from his usual friendly comedic roles. But I think he did it very well.
Yep.
I enjoyed his portrayal of Barnaby, even though I did not like Barnaby. Which I guess, like you would technically tell me, that means he did his role well if I
Yeah.
did not like him.
Did a good job.
um, so the movie was filmed on an elaborate soundstage at Disney Studios. It featured whimsical and colorful sets that gave the film its fairy tale charm. I feel like it kind of made it like a little kitschy. I enjoyed it. Annette Funicello's solo song, "I Can't Do the Sum," which I think is what you said.
She's like doing the math. Like
Yeah, where she pops up in like reflections of herself that come out
Yeah.
the mirror in different colors, which I thought was super creepy. It became one of her most memorable numbers from the film. And Walt Disney personally encouraged her to take on this role. And then there were Mouseketeer Easter eggs in here. Um, so the soldiers from Toyland battle scene were inspired by the iconic wooden soldiers from Victor Herbert's original operetta. And large version of these soldiers later became a recurring float in Disneyland park parades. So this whole time I never knew what those were, and I thought, how does this fit in Disneyland? And now I know. Disney World, like how does this fit in? Oscar nominations. So this film was nominated for an Academy Award for the best costume design color, showcasing the lavish and detailed outfits created for the characters. It had an influence on Disneyland. It inspired Disneyland attractions, including Babes in Toyland exhibit in the Main Street Opera House, which showcased props and sets from the movie. We've never been to Disneyland, so I guess we'll have to go and see if it's actually still there.
April.
Yeah. Anyway, financial disappointment. despite its colorful visual and star-studded cast, the movie was a box office disappointment for Disney. But it has since gained a cult following for its kitschy charm. The animated soldiers, the iconic toy soldiers from the climactic battle sequence were brought to life using stop motion animation, which was a complex and innovative technique at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like move a leg, take a picture, move a leg,
Yeah.
take a picture.
And I feel like growing up watching different things like on PBS and stuff, I feel like they probably use the same.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, and I feel like they also probably use some of the same things.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was pretty cool. And then musical legacy. While the film didn't achieve massive success, its soundtrack has been celebrated for combining Victor Herbert's classic songs with original Disney arrangements.
So, how about some ratings and some thoughts then?
Boop, boop, boop. All right, so you're going to be upset with this. So, IMDb rated this a 6.1 out of 10.
Go ahead.
I rated it a 5.
And why did you rate this a 5?
I felt like there was some dry scenes in there at times where it was like not really holding my attention as well as some of the other films that we've watched. It was a good film, but I don't know. It just did not hit it for me. I don't know.
So then
What do you rate it?
So then hold on. We're still doing your turn here.
Okay.
Does this make your list upon a star?
It does not make my list.
So then what is your list upon a star?
So my list upon a star is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, The Three Caballeros, The Shaggy Dog, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, and Fantasia.
So, speaking of driving,
Fantasia.
All right. So, people that know me know I like a lot of things.
You do like a lot of things.
I like Disney.
You do.
I like musicals.
He does.
I like storybooks and rhymes and stuff like that.
Very much so.
Yo, this movie was amazing. Straight up 5 stars, A+.
10 out of 10?
I text my mother while we were watching this, and I was like, if you haven't seen this, you have to watch this. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I'm mad I didn't get a chance to. I never watched it before, but I'm happy I got to watch it for the first time.
Was this on Disney Plus? I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay, so this was on Disney Plus. Okay.
So much fun. Every single thing rhymes. It's so kitschy. It's so corny. It's so wonderful. So my list upon a star, yes, this is going to make it this my list, which means that speaking of my mother, The Parent Trap is coming off my list. Sorry. So I am going to move a few of these down here.
So did your mother ever watch it?
No.
When you told her?
Okay. She's going to.
Nice.
She might have watched it since I texted her. I don't know. But, all right. So my list upon a star to start our new year here is 101 Dalmatians, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, followed by number 4, Babes in Toyland, and then Pinocchio, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and the Tramp, and then followed lastly by another movie I loved called The Swiss Family Robinson. So this movie was so much fun. Barnaby was fun. Mother Goose was fun. So much fun. I don't know. At one point you were like, this person's from Massachusetts. And I'm like, yeah, Mother Goose is from Massachusetts. But just
no, it was
whoever played somebody.
The girl who played Bo Peep was born in Cambridge.
Yeah. It was the best way to describe this movie was it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was relevant. I loved it. But we would love to hear from you. You know, we are on Spotify. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. And you can send us an email at deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail.com. And I would love to hear if you have seen this movie before and if you were blown away as I was. But our next deep dive, will we feel the same way about that as we felt about this one?
Mm-hmm.
we are moving into the year 1962. From April of 1962, our 57th Disney feature length film, and that is a film called Moon Pilot. I look forward to talking to you about the movie Moon Pilot next time.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.